it's not looking good. The latest round of talks was held in Geneva, Switzerland, and it came to an end. It came to an abrupt end, and it's not looking good. And the Americans are saying that they've not seen any real progress on the ground, in terms of what Iran is looking for. And now we're going to look at the major takeaways from the talks on Iran. Movement and momentum have been gained to some extent because the neutral broker of this sort of conversation and negotiation is Oman, and they're trying to paint a good light, to the conversation and saying, yeah, we made some progress, but the talks ended abruptly. It ended, in a short while after the conversation started because there's so much difference in terms of their position. Well, they say that next week that technically they will continue the conversation, so they are trying to sort of open the door for more conversation so they can avert conflict. And while that is happening, you have Mike Huckabee, who is the U.S. envoy to Israel, asking American, personnel and American workers in the embassy and American citizens in Israel to leave now that they can. These were his words: leave right now that you can. This is your last opportunity to leave the country. And this is according to the U.S. ambassador, Mike Huckabee. Huckabee is urging American citizens, not just in Israel, but also in Lebanon, to leave the country. In fact, the U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, have also put out a statement that the State Department is urging Americans living in the region to leave with immediate effect. So this whole negotiations, is a tactic to allow the Americans to mobilize and distract Iran, to a point where they will not prepare themselves. Well, I'm well aware that Iran is properly and adequately also reloading, and that there'll be a price to pay. This is not Iraq, in 2003. This is not Afghanistan that they can't defend themselves. There'll be a price to pay. And the soft underbelly of the United States of America are those aircraft carriers. The government of Iran have warned and have told their citizens that even if the supreme leader is taken away today, don't forget, the process must go on. You must sustain the Islamic Republic of Iran. And I saw this video from this guy in Israel. He held the camera up, and he's doing this vlogging. He said, look at the beautiful city of Tel Aviv. This is Israel, ladies and gentlemen. We are a country that is very tolerant, is diverse, and it's a beautiful country. This is where, this is this Jerusalem, is one of the holiest places, in the three Abrahamic religions and so on and so forth. And that in a few days from now, we, meaning Israel and America, will be bombing Iran. And then Iran is going to respond to target civilians because they're anti-Semitic. Okay? And he's already taken the position of innocence. He's already taken the position of a victim. He's already taken the position of being the victim when he said himself that in a few days from now, will be launching attacks against Iran. That's the best thing I've ever seen in my life. And we saw that during the course of the 12-day war. They initiated, an onslaught against Iran. Iran struck Ashdod. It struck Ashdod, I think Haifa, and struck some areas in the Galilee and Jerusalem. And everybody were complaining that those Iranians are committing human rights violations. The Iranians are, attacking civilian areas to the extent where the prime minister came to some of the areas where the ballistic missile fell. And they had him on camera. It's like, yeah, these are civilian areas. There's no military there. And they were talking about Soroka Hospital. There's no military base, that he knows all the military bases in the country. There's no single military base in Soroka. There's no single military base in this single military base. So going to the extent of explaining themselves. And they sounded more like people like me that were advocating for Palestine, where they were bombing those hospitals in Palestine and bombing those churches, and we were complaining that this was against civilians, right? And then, let's not forget to tap and share, guys. Don't forget to engage, to like, to share. All of this is for educational purposes. Don't forget to like, to share, and leave positive comments, by the way. Don't forget to also leave your questions and leave your recommendations, by the way. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm also on YouTube, Savak Media, SAVVARK on YouTube. And the conversation today is coming out of the State Department, that the U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, is now asking embassy staff American embassy staff in Jerusalem to leave with immediate effect and leave now that they can. Leave Israel today before it is too late. This is what it's telling them. This message also, went for embassy staff and non-essential workers, in Lebanon. They're asking them to leave Lebanon. They're asking them to leave Iraq. So, is this a build-up to any sort of is this a build-up to agreement in order to pressure Iran to accept the deal on the table, or is this for real? Because the way I look at it, this whole negotiations and conversations is just, it's for the optics. They have made a decision, and you can hear from, I think, the Senator Lindsey Graham, was, I think, in the UAE, and was complaining that the Saudis are viciously, attacking the UAE and so on and so forth, and that because they are viciously attacking the UAE, that Saudi Arabia is going backward, and that he's here in the region to get everybody together, that everybody have to come together to sort of do this one that is very necessary, meaning they have to all agree that Iran must be destroyed. To whose detriment? If you look at the region, the Saudis are looking at it and saying, hang on a second, if you are able to break Saudi, who's going to be next? It's us. They are already telling us that we are moving 5 steps backwards. And Egypt is also looking at it, hang on a second, what is really happening? But Egypt does not have any real leverage. I saw a statement from, I think, the foreign minister of Egypt recently, calling on the rest of the region to put pressure on Hezbollah to disarm. You have more problems in your own country, but you are more interested in interfering in the business of your neighbors for sectarian reasons. Even if Hezbollah disarmed today, Lebanon is not under your sphere of influence. It's not under your sphere of control or under your sphere of influence. So there's nothing you can really do politically in Lebanon. The French are there, the Israelis are there, the Turks are there, the Americans are there. Egypt's interest in the area is not insignificant. They're not counted. So why are you so interested in dismantling a militia that is sort of putting pressure on the structure in the region? And you don't know that these are front lines. Whether you like them ideologically or not, these are frontline entities against you. Egypt needs to wake up. Egypt is the target. Egypt have over, I think, 100 million people. They have the Sinai, which is very large. And the Israelis have said it over and over again. Sinai is their spiritual homeland. In a recent interview between Mike Huckabee and Tucker Carlson said, asked him about the whole idea of the greater project to take more territory, as it was in the Bible, taking all of it. He wants them to take all of it. And this guy is a pastor, by the way. He's an evangelical pastor that have had very strong opinions in the past, and that's why they appointed him. So I'm not surprised that this is happening at this point in time. So there's a real possibility, like I said before, there's a real chance of escalation. And I told you guys the story about the Israeli guy that saw it and was like, oh, we are going to hit them in a couple of days. And if they hit us back, it is anti-Semitic. We are going to strike them and strike them ferociously. And if they do that back to us, that is wrong. We are going to strike them ferociously. But why should I do it back to us? I mean, look at us. We are the children of God. We have a right to strike them ferociously. We have a right to hit them where it hurts. But they don't have any right to hit back. Because we are the ordained children of God. And why should anybody fight back against us? Why should anybody try and dare to stand in any place whatsoever to try to fight us? Let's not forget that there was a joint comprehensive plan of action, the JCPOA, reached under Obama. It wasn't a perfect agreement, but it was to contain Iran. And the IAEA, which is the International Atomic Energy Agency, was part of it. The G5 plus the P5+1, including Germany, was part of it, to curb Iranian uranium enrichment for sanctions relief. They had IAEA officials there monitoring what was going on there. It wasn't the perfect plan. It wasn't the perfect agreement, and Netanyahu said he would not accept it. He went into Congress and ridiculed the president of the United States of America, mocked him, and all the Congress members clapped for him. I've never seen anything like that in my life. And you saw it again with him going to like the Congress during the State of the Union, and then everybody on both aisles stood up and clapped for him. And when Trump stood up to speak, one side booed him, one side clapped for him. And I'm like, yeah, in power dynamics, this is the real. Who's the real leader of this association? Who is the real political leader of this association? It makes no sense to me at all. It's the same thing when Obama was there. This same Bibi went there, mocked him, ridiculed him, cursed him in Congress, and they all applauded him. As the sitting president of the United States of America, I've never seen anything like that before in my life. The same thing they did to Jimmy Carter. Anybody that wants to have sort of a middle ground and peace, they mock them, they ridicule them, they emasculate them. And Jimmy Carter lost the second term. Because of that, and also the hostage crisis and a host of other issues, but Jimmy Carter was a pacifist largely. But they disliked him, and called him all sorts of names and so on and so forth. And now we are here today. The empire is going from place to place, bombing and destroying because of power, because of Halliburton and Chevron and the big pharmaceuticals and the arms manufacturing complex, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics. In the UK, you have BAE System, and all these groups teaming up together, pushing countries using the coercive apparatus of the states to go to war and knock people down for resources. And then when we speak, you're not allowed to challenge power. How dare you? How dare you challenge the political power of the United States of America? How dare you? You have no right whatsoever to challenge the political power of the United States of America. You should not do that. Right now, we have the USS Gerald Ford, you have the USS Abraham Lincoln, you have the USS, whatever you want to call them. Mobilization, power of America against one single strategic objective. For them, it's Iran. How do we weaken Iran? How do we get to, to squeeze and intimidate Iran to the point where Iran would not be a threat to us? This is the point. But all of that is coming to an end. Slowly but surely, we are reaching a point where the rest of the world will say, this can no longer continue. Enough is enough. We can't accept this. This cannot continue. The rest of the world is going to wake up one day and say, this cannot continue, ladies and gentlemen. So why should anybody accept it? And you have these Iranians in diaspora twerking and dancing, and they're saying, hang on a second, why are OnlyFans models not allowed in Mashhad? Why are these OnlyFans models not allowed in Persepolis and Shiraz and go to Sistan? We can do whatever we want in America and Israel. Therefore, we need to mobilize power in America, and using our voices, you're lending your voices to encourage the United States to go and destroy the country you claim to come from and you like. Make it make sense to me. I'm just an outsider asking questions. Here's my question to Iranians in diaspora. Do you want your country to be bombed, to be pillaged, to be looted, to be controlled from the outside by forces of darkness? Are you looking for your country to be bombed back to the Stone Age because you don't, or the Islamic Republic as it is called? The reason why you want it bombed back to the Dark Ages is to remove the name Islamic from it. Why? Why are we doing that? And now you have the ambassador Mike Huckabee sounding this bell of this Armageddon, an alarm, calling for Americans to leave Israel, and then you have the State Department calling for Americans in Lebanon to leave with immediate effect and in Iraq to leave with immediate effect. I'm not the one calling for it. I'm not the one with an aircraft carrier on the coast of Israel. I'm not the one with the USS Gerald Ford there. I'm not the one with the USS Harry Truman. I'm not the one mobilizing personnel and resources and material geared towards the destruction of another state with a civilization going back to at least 5,000 years. It's not me. I'm not the one. The United States of America is barely 400 years old. Israel is barely 100 years old. And these are the two countries now that are trying to destroy ancient civilizations. Like they did in the Americas, they are the ones trying to destroy other countries. So why should we accept that? And why should people like me be told to shut up and stay in my place and not speak up about it? Why? And then you complain, oh, it's Hezbollah, it's Hamas, it's this and that. It's everybody but you. The definition of a hypocrite is that person that sees the sins and the misgivings of others and don't see what they are doing. Call me whatever you want. And I told you guys a story of an Israeli guy, a vlogger in Israel, with the phone to his face, say, oh, look at the beautiful city of Tel Aviv. In a few weeks or days now, we will be bombing Iran with our partners, the Americans, and then Iran will be firing rockets into these beautiful neighborhoods where you have civilians, targeting civilians like they always do because they're anti-Semitic. On one hand, this vlogger is talking about going and launching a preemptive attack on another country, which is Iran, and then already taking and assuming the position of a victim. He's automatically now assuming the position of a victim and saying, we are going to do this to them, but they are going to dare to hit us back and they are anti-Semitic. Let's have a Are we talking? Are we there? Are you guys listening? Am I saying anything? Are you paying attention? Am I making any sense? If you have decided now to go and launch an invasion of another country, and you're surprised that they're fighting back, how dare you? You know, like a bully is not. And we have to be very careful and guided, because again, the US is getting to a point where they are pushing and testing to see. Let's say that America goes there, starts bombing to destroy Iran. Iran hits two of their aircraft carriers. For instance, if they're able to hit one and sink all these 5K people on the seabed, and everything that it have, you know, Armageddon, it has nuclear power on it, everything blows up in flame. Okay? And then they say, oh, Iran did this to us. The US becomes the victim. Say, Iran did this to American citizens. Therefore, now we have the casus belli. We have the justification for war. We have the right now to go to Iran and use nukes there and to teach them a lesson. America automatically becomes a victim. Let's not forget that it's American presence in the Middle East. And even the war with Japan during the Second World War, it was the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. Well, where is Pearl Harbor? They say, oh, it's an attack on us. No, Pearl Harbor is where? Pearl Harbor is not on the coast of Florida. Pearl Harbor is in Hawaii. Hawaii is in the Pacific. Deep inside the Pacific, closer, way closer to Japan than it will ever be to the United States. And you are the one that projected power there and seized territory. You are the one that came there and invaded the Philippines. This is why the Japanese came there, to push you back. And then when you get attacked there, you said it is the darkest day in our history and we have a right to use nukes on you because we came to bomb you and you refuse to accept it. If you ask most American citizens, they truly believe that Japan was in the wrong. They truly believe that they are the victims, that the Japanese were the ones that attacked them. This is like the way history, and we are living this period right now. And I'm telling you right now, if Iran is able to sink one of those American carriers, everybody, like, again, I don't understand how these Americans, how they see things, right? How they view things, how they see the world. So if one of those carriers is sunk to the seabed, then the Americans now have the casus belli, and they are going to put it on Fox News. You know, this is on international waters. We are the victims, the victimhood. You're already seeing it on American press. Iran is axis of evil. We are the victim. And they do that in order to get sympathy from their own citizens or to mobilize the political oxygen to go on these expeditions on behalf of ExxonMobil and Chevron and British Petroleum and Halliburton and the rest of them. They are doing the bidding, not of the people of the United States. They are doing the bidding of the elites, but they need the people on board. So they'll tell them that, look, we are the victim, they are the enemies. They are the valiant, we are the victims. In Israel right now, they're already saying that if Iran hit us back, if we bomb them, they are anti-Semitic. They are anti-Semitic. This is the conversations they're having there. Their strikes back. If we bomb them from the sky, that is anti-Semitism. Let's not forget that. Very, very important. Okay? So the Americans, and the Iranians have been unable to agree on even principles in the recent talks in Geneva, Switzerland, brokered by Oman. They walked out early during the talks because they couldn't agree on a host of issues, including, the nuclear program and enrichment of Iran, and a host of other issues, that were being deliberated. And they have, and they are proposing to meet again on a technical level next week. But we have seen this before, that anytime they make this kind of statement that, oh, we are going to meet again and there's no real date on it, what happens is that, the Americans bomb from the sky. And then President Trump stated, I think early this week, that they are giving Iran just about 14 days. 14 days, that's all they are giving Iran to come to the negotiation table with the deal. That if that doesn't happen, that the US will do whatever it sees fit. So let's look at it. A quick recap again. US-Iran nuclear talks end without a deal as threats of war grows. Now, high-stakes talk between the United States and Iran over the future of Iran's nuclear program ended on Wednesday without a deal, as the White House weighs a military operation that will mark its largest intervention in the Middle East in decades. And the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi claimed good progress had been made at the talks, and Omani mediators predicted negotiations would reconvene at the technical level next week. Yeah, these are all the permutations, right? But we don't know what will really happen, because the Americans are repositioning their assets and moving their assets, and this has been going on for a while now. But there's no immediate evidence to support suggestions that the two sides have drawn closer on fundamental issues of Iran's right to enrich uranium and the future of its highly enriched uranium stocks. So nonetheless, the Iranian and Omani mediators sought to cast the talks in a hopeful light, likely seeking to avert the U.S. threat to launch strikes from its fleet of aircraft and warships that they've amassed around the region. So Araghchi described the talks as one of the most intense and longest rounds of negotiations. He confirmed that further contacts would take place in less than a week. So we are hoping that these talks will continue and that war can be averted. Nobody wants war. But if there's anybody that wants war in the region, well, I wouldn't say America does not want to see Iran weaken, but it's just one country in the region that has been beating the drums for over 30 years. And that is